Hello everybody, this is Kevin McCandless and you're watching a video tutorial on how to do homework and practice tests within MyMathLab. So to begin, we'll go over here to the homework link, click on that, and that'll bring us to the homework assignment page. Now what we have here with the blue links, that means that you have an assignment that you can work on, and the H there means that it's a homework assignment. And then to the immediate left of that is its due date. So what you see here is that we have a Chapter 1 review homework assignment that's due on February 6th at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now that time is going to change depending on when your class starts, but the 8 a.m. is for the 8 o'clock algebra class. Now across from that over to the right, you see a time limit and attempts, both of which are blank. And that's because there is no time limit on your homework and there is no limit to the number of attempts that you can make. So that's why there's nothing there. Now next to that is a gradebook score, and if you click here, that will show you what your current score is. So as of right now, I have about a 5% score on my homework. So I want to improve that score, so what I'm going to do is go in here, click on the review, and this brings you into the assignment. So on the top it has all the assignment info, including the last time that you worked on it, its due date, its name, and your current score. And then below that you have a little warning here that says any changes you make will actually affect your score, and that's because the assignment isn't due yet. Once the due date passes, then changes will not affect your score. So now the Chapter 1 review is a very large assignment. Most assignments are not this big, but you can tell that this one has 57 questions in it. And now from looking around, the ones with the green checks means that you have them correct. And so you'll notice that next to those it says 1 out of 1. Now the ones with the red X's means that you have them incorrect, and that's why it's 0 out of 1. So all the problems are 1 point each, and when you get it right, it awards you the point, and if you have it wrong, then you still have no points. Now this symbol here means that there's an animation or some type of resource that goes along with question 1. Now for different assignments, you'll probably see more of those. This assignment only has 1, but as we get to the more complex material, you're probably more likely to see those attached to certain homework problems. Now also notice this red bar or this yellow bar, it's kind of a summary, so there's 57 questions in it. So far scored is how many problems I've attempted. So I've attempted 5 problems, I've gotten 3 of them correct, no partial credit on anyone, and 2 incorrect. So you have a little summary running there at the top. So let's see, let's go into a problem. And the good part is that you could jump around and you don't necessarily have to go in order. So let's say we want to take a look at question 18. Just click on it and it brings you into here. Now at the top, notice it has all the problems that you can get through, and if you can just navigate using this bar up here if you want to go back or forward, and the checks are up there. So the green checks mean that you got that problem correct, and the red X means that you have it wrong, and when it's circled in yellow, that's the one that you're currently on. So we're currently on number 18. And again, you have all this information. So right now we have 0 out of 1 point. Our total homework score is 5.25%. And we have 5 out of 57 problems complete on this assignment so far. So now the way you use this MyMathLab is here is the problem. So it says add as indicated. So negative 9.6 plus 7.2. Then below it is where you're supposed to enter your answer. And then blue notes tell you how to write your answer, so they want to make sure that you're simplifying your answers here. Over here on the left are tools for entering your answer. So if you need to enter a fraction, you can use this button. If you want to enter a mixed number, you can use that button, and so forth. There's exponents, absolute value, square roots, other radicals, ordered pairs, subscripts. So you have a lot of tools there as far as entering your answers in. That takes a little practice to get used to, but I'm sure you guys can all get used to it pretty quickly. Now over here on the right, you have options for receiving help for each problem. So let's say, for example, this negative 9.6 plus 7.2. We're actually not sure how to do that. Well, hopefully you all are, but let's just say that you're not. What you can do is click on one of these 2 options, either help me solve this or view an example. Now if you click help me solve this, it's going to automatically mark this problem as incorrect. So what you'll see here is look at number 18, and then when we click help me solve this, there's a red X there now. Now what that means though, see the red X up there by the 18. So now it has this new pop-up, and what this does is it's going to walk us through the problem step by step. So we can begin by determining if the two real numbers have the same sign or if they have different signs. Continue. See how it breaks it up step by step? Do they have the same sign? Well, obviously no. And then what you can do, instead of down here hitting check answer, if you hit enter, it just automatically checks your answer. And when you get it correct, it says good job. Hit enter and have it go away. So then the next step, it says use the following rule to add the two real numbers. It tells you what the rule is. Hit continue. It gives you more information. Continue. What's the absolute value? Well, it's 9.6. Continue, and then it breaks it through step by step. So it's very good. We'll just close out of that. Now the downside of that is that it marks you wrong automatically. But here when you go back, you'll notice that these are not the same numbers. When we came back to the original problem, they changed the numbers. So what you can do is get your credit back by answering this problem with new numbers in it. So what's negative 7.9 plus 4.2? Let's see, that's negative 3.7. We'll say check answer. It says nice work, and keep your eye on number 18 there, because that red X just turned into a green check. So what that means is even if it's initially a red X, you can go back into it and keep doing it until you get credit for it. So there's really no reason not to have 100% on all these homework assignments. So let's see, let's take a look at a different problem. Let's look at number 17. And now we'll talk about this button that says view an example. The view an example does not mark you wrong when you use it. So let's see, we'll click on view an example, keep your eye on number 17 there, and you'll see that nothing happens. So over here at 17, there's no check, there's no cross, nothing happens. So that's the difference between the help me solve this and the view the example. The view an example doesn't mark you wrong. However, the trade-off is that if you look at the numbers now, it's absolute value of negative 1.8, whereas the original was absolute value of negative 2.4. So the view an example shows you how to do a similar problem. So that's why it doesn't mark you wrong, because it's not doing the exact problem, it's doing a similar problem for you. So then it just walks you through step by step, and then the other difference with the view an example is that it doesn't ask you for any inputs. So you can just read along. It's kind of like reading a textbook, and it just shows you what all the steps are until you figure it out and you know what the correct answer is. Then you can hit close, and then you can come back to your problem, and you could say, all right, well, after all that, I know that the answer is 2.4. Good to go. Let's see, let's hop to another problem. Let's take a look at 14. Your third option is this thing that says ask my instructor. So if you're really stuck on it and these that help me solve this and the view an example aren't really that great, then if you hit ask my instructor, it pops up a window with my email address loaded into it, and it attached the question. So what happens is I receive an email from you that has this question or a link to this question in it. So here you don't really have to write anything. You could just say help if you want. You don't have to type the question because I'm receiving a link to it already. And then when you hit send, I'll receive a message in my inbox. And then what I usually do is I'll collect the emails for the day, and then you could usually count on me doing them in class within the next day or two. All right, so let's take a look at this question here. Let's see. 3/2 is not an irrational number. Well, I know that that's false. But let's say I put true. Oh, sorry, it's the other way around. Let's say I know what the answer is, but I'm just going to say false, and I'm going to say check answer. Here's what happens when you get something wrong. It'll tell you you have it wrong, but then it'll give you a hint as to how you can get it correct. Now, the other thing you want to notice here is, okay, well, since it's a true-false, it's going to say you answered false. That's why it's an X. The answer was true, and now I have a red X up here. But here's what's great about this thing, is that you can click down here and click similar exercise, and it'll give you another one. And then this one, hopefully you can get this right. And then if you do, so let's see, 3/2 is not an integer. That's true. Check answer. Well done. And then the X that you had there is now a green check. So this homework gives you lots of opportunities to correct your mistakes. It gives you lots of resources over here next to each problem, and allows you to hop around out of order. So that's how the homework thing works. And then let's go back to homework and you can see what's happened here. Now when you go back and you hit C score, see how my score has improved? It was a 5.5 and now it's a 10.5. So your score can continuously improve. And if we go back in and take one more look at it, now we have all those green checks. So let's move on and talk about the practice tests. So over on the left, you have a link that says homework, but then you also have one that says practice tests. These are also assigned and due for homework. So what you'll see is this one at the top. It says T for test, Chapter 1 review test, and then to the left is a due date. So this is also due February 6th at 8 o'clock a.m., just like the Chapter 1 review homework is. Now the difference is if you look over here, there is a time limit because it's supposed to simulate a real test. That way you can have practice under pressure. And there is a limit of attempts, so I give you 3 attempts. And then if you click C score, then you can see what your score is. Now these ones that are underneath it, these are all practice tests that don't count toward your grade. This one up here is assigned and it does count for your grade. These ones down here will not count toward your grade. So what you can do before taking this Chapter 1 review test, the one that actually goes into the grade book, maybe take this one, which doesn't go into the grade book. So that would give you more practice for the practice test itself, which goes into the grade book. So let's click on this and take a look at it. So it tells you how many questions there are, it tells you when it's due, it tells you the time limit, and then it tells you how many attempts you've used. So I was messing around with this test yesterday, so that's why it says I've started the test 1 of 3 times. Which means I still have 2 more attempts. So then when you're ready to start, just go ahead and click I am ready to start, and it brings you into the test. Now the difference you'll see is that one is a different color from the homework. It says test up here. And the other option is if you look over here on the right where all those resources were, they're gone now. So the point of this practice test is to, simulate a real test. And so here you'll see this clock that's just kind of ticking down, similar to a classroom environment. So it should help you prepare for the actual exam. Now the other difference is when you enter your answer and you hit next, it doesn't tell you whether you got it right or not. So what it'll have to do is go through the entire test, and when you're done, hit submit. Now I'm not going to go through the whole test, but it'll tell you if you have any unanswered questions or not. And then are you sure you want to submit it? And I'll say yes. Now since I only answered question 1, that's the only one with the green check, and then there's all the X's. So what you'll receive is a report that told you how you did on that practice test. Now these are those little links I was mentioning before. Notice how there's a lot more here. That means that these problems come with videos and animations and things like that. Now what you'll want to do here is review your test. So let's say you didn't do that well and you want to learn from your mistakes. Well, you click review test. Okay, well I got this one right, so we're okay. Then you go to number 2 and I got this one wrong and it tells me what the answer is. But now if you look over to the right, all those resources are available again. So they do show up when you're reviewing your test, but they won't be there when you take the test. And if you have a real question on one of these, go ahead and ask my instructor. Now this link here is a new one. This one says textbook. What that'll do is show you where in the book you can read to find out more information about the particular problem. So anyway, I hope you found that as a good review of your homework and your practice tests, and this way you know where everything is due and how it works.